In case anybody wanted to know, here are my top 5 things that I really wish I knew before I opened my used car lot. Now, there's lots and lots of positives, but if I'd have known these 5 things before I got started, I probably would have had a lot less stress along the way. Tune in to the end for the best one. Let's get started. All right, this one might surprise you, and I didn't learn it until probably 6 months or a year into the business. And that is, you don't have to sell expensive cars to make money. As a matter of fact, I think you make more money selling cheap cars. Now, this is a give and take, right? If you're going and buying a 1 or 2 year old car and putting it up for sale, not much is going to be wrong with that car, and you can sell it, and you might make some money. But I learned after following some folks on YouTube and listening to my buddy that was telling me I needed more everyman cars, that cheaper cars are the way to go. So when I first started out, I had a warehouse space and I kept all my cars inside, and I only wanted to sell Volvo, Mercedes, and BMW because those are what I like to drive. And I'd sell some cars, and they were expensive to work on. And I had a mechanic friend that owned a shop. He helped me out. But I met another fella because I bought a Dodge van, and the transmission ended up being no good. So this guy owned a transmission shop. We sort of became buddies. And as I'm bitching, moaning, and complaining about not selling enough cars, not making the money I'd hoped to make for all this money that I had invested, he said, "Tom, the problem is around here, people need more common cars. Quit selling that stuff. Get you some Chevy Impalas, some Trailblazers, some Ford Explorers, some everyman cars, something that's a little cheaper, $4,000 or $6,000, and sell those. And it would really help if you could finance people." So I did get my finance license. And I did sort of cut back on the more expensive, and when I say expensive, they were used, $7,000, $8,000 BMWs. So I started selling Ford Explorers, Chevrolet pickups, Ford pickups, Impalas, Chevy Cobalts were really big when I started. A Chevy Cobalt. I used to be able to buy a Chevy Cobalt at the auction, make everything work on it, and finance it to somebody for $1,000 down, which was what I would have in it, against a $2,500 car. So they'd finance the other 15. I was so happy. I thought I was just killing it. So that's how much times have changed since then. But what I sell now is cars that usually run $3,000 to $6,000. That's kind of my sweet spot. There are a lot more people out there, guys, that have $5,000 to get their kid a first car, or a second car for the spouse that doesn't drive as much, or just to get a car to commute back and forth to work and wear it out. A lot more people have $5,000 than $10,000. I've found when I've sold these cars that are $10,000 plus, when you're advertising that car, most of those people, they're getting a loan. And so if they're getting a loan, they can go anywhere to buy the car. There's not as much incentive to come to you. But by a $5,000 car, there are not as many dealers selling cars in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. And when it comes to financing, well, I haven't been doing a lot of financing lately just because the price of cars, it makes it hard for me to get enough of my equity out at the down payment. I'm nervous. That equity right now is too precious to me. So I'm not doing a lot of buy here, pay here. But when you do, I usually do a car that's $3,500 with $1,500 down. That is about the limit of what my customers can afford to pay, 15 down, and then $100 a week, 100 and a quarter a week, depending on the car. So for right now, we are mostly working cash deals and not really doing any financing. So had I known right out of the gate to sell the cheaper cars, to get the finance license and tote the note on some right out of the gate and do cash sales, I probably would have done a lot better. Because I'll be honest, my first year in business just killed me. And had I listened to the market, meaning people need cheap cars, rather than buying and selling what I wanted to buy, I'd have probably been a lot better off. You can tell I'm working from home today from my backdrop, but if you look over my right shoulder, which I think is going to be on your left side when you see the video, my little pitty girl there, she's a part terrier, Dalmatian, and pit bull. An interesting little mix there, so lots of energy. But tip number 2, the dealer auction is not the best place to find bargains all the time. And tip number 2, part B, I don't like car dealers. So I used to start out, I was always going to the car auction. There's a couple of them around here. I don't like it. I don't like it because everybody that's there is there to buy cars. And some of them are there to buy the cars that you want to buy. I also don't like that a lot of them smell funny and are arrogant pricks that think they know more than you. And some of them probably do. But overall, a lot of them are jerks. I've only met a handful of car dealers that I liked. So along those lines, the dealer auction is not always the best place to go. If you're a big lot and you're selling, 50 cars a month or something, you've got no choice but to go to the dealer auction. You really don't. But what I have learned to do is to purchase cars from individuals in addition to the dealer auction. And I do that in a variety of ways. Obviously, I advertise that we buy and sell cars. We have various ads running saying that we buy this or that type of car. Obviously, on our website, it says that we buy cars. And because I also own a shop now, and it's somewhat in-house to do these repairs, I found I can get some bargains there. Now, sometimes I pay a little more than I would at the dealer auction, but I also am the only one looking at the car. And I get to test it out a little bit better. I get to take it on a longer test drive, or a test drive at all in some cases. I'm allowed to bring my scanner to scan it and see what's going on with it. So I usually can get a little bit more thorough examination. Also, a lot of the cars that I buy, they actually do need work, and everybody's upfront about it needing work. And so I'm able to leverage my ability to fix that car below retail to get a better deal. Yes, I've had great cars, great scores from the dealer auction, but I've probably had more or a higher percentage come from cars that I've bought off of individuals. So if you're starting out in the used car business, you're selling basic transportation cars, I have a whole couple of videos that I've made about where to source dealer inventory that you don't need a dealer license for if you're just a car flipper. Or if you're a new dealer starting out selling those less expensive cars, this is a good way to compete and to supplement what you're buying at the auction and increase your margin overall. All right, so the third thing I wish I knew was how much government involvement there was in being a used car dealer. And I don't mean that as necessarily a bad thing. It's just people that I wasn't aware would have their hand in my business. So there's a couple of regulating agencies that we should talk about that I was somewhat unaware of and kind of learned from the School of Hard Knocks. So first, obviously, is the Texas DMV. That's the people that issue the dealer license. They also deal with the paper plates, which paper plates are going away in 2025. But they issue the e-tag, which is a website you go into, you print out the customer's plate, you print it, and that's their temp tag. So that's TXDMV. Then we have the OCCC, Office of Consumer Credit Commissioner. Now that's the people that handle the finance license. So I have a finance license, it renews every 2 years. They tend to send auditors out to you to look at all your files to make sure that you're doing everything up to snuff. You're not a predatory lender. You have all your required signed documents. So there's that. Then we have the Texas Comptroller. We have the Texas Secretary of State. That's your sales tax if you have to pay sales tax. And even if you don't pay sales tax because your business doesn't collect it, you still have to file these things. I am forever getting my tax status thing revoked because I didn't file something. Then I have to call my accountant and then he has to pay extra to get it fixed. That's frustrating. and that's from the comptroller. And the Secretary of State is who you do your LLCs and things like that through. So those organizations all kind of have their hand in your business, not necessarily as a bad thing. I did fine on my last audit. It's just, I wasn't aware of it really until I got started. All right, here's the next one. Buyers are liars. I've heard car dealers say this for a long time, and yeah, I agree and I understand, but I thought they were maybe a little cynical. When I was back at my house curbstoning for years and years, I just sold cars out of my garage or whatever. I learned to never really adjust my schedule for somebody that said they want to come look at a car, because inevitably if I didn't do something with my family and I stayed home, or if we rushed home to show the car to somebody, they didn't show up. And I just kind of learned that there will always be another buyer, so don't rearrange your schedule. That being said, I become a used car dealer, and now I'm a legitimate businessman, and I have hours that say I'm open from 8 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, but we show cars by appointment nights and weekends when possible. Somebody would, Facebook Messenger is the big one now, not so much calls anymore, but Facebook message, I can't be there till 6:30 because I work. My dumbass would sit up there till 6:30, nobody show. I'd message, nobody responds. And I never learned that lesson. It took me forever to learn that lesson. So now what I do when I show cars on the night or weekend is I say, okay, that's fine. We will meet at this time. You need to call me 30 minutes before to confirm that you're coming. If you don't call me, I'm not showing up. Just because if I don't do that, people don't show up. I've wasted my time, taking time away from my family. And I end up just sitting up there, getting a hand job, just jerked off by people that either didn't care, something came up, they didn't value my time, they really didn't have enough money for the car, or whatever. I've also kind of learned the ones that want to haggle the most before they even get there, or get there and immediately start haggling, oftentimes don't have the money. They'll make you some lowball offer, and I usually say, well, do you have the money today? Oh, I can get it, but you never see them again. So that's not a hack against people that I'm a dealer and I'm somehow superior. I guess that's human nature, but man, did I really learn that lesson when I got started. Buyers are liars. All right, here is the number one thing I wish I'd known. And that is taxes suck. So obviously there are tons and tons of great reasons to be self-employed, to have your own LLC, that you can take some serious tax deductions, and this is not about that. I have videos about that. I'll probably make another video about what my favorite tax deductions are and how I try my best to reduce my taxable income. But here's the thing that I didn't quite understand, and should have because I knew better, about taxes. So my first year or two, I think my first year I lost my ass. I lost like $69,000 between build out, paying rent, not being able to have any sales, waiting for the license, buying the wrong kind of cars, just stupid stuff. Stupid. But the second year, I started making money. And here is the problem. Self-employment tax. So it all depends on how you set up your business. I am a single member LLC. The way I am set up, this is paid on Schedule C of my personal tax return on my 1040, profit and loss from a business. So after I take all the deductions I possibly can that are bona fide business expenses, whatever falls to the bottom line is my profit and loss from a business. Here's the problem. You don't just pay income tax on what fell to the bottom. You also pay self-employment tax. So when you are a W-2 employee, I think it's 7.65% of your check for Social Security comes out of your check. Your employer, he pays the other 7.5 or 7.65, whatever it is. When you're self-employed, you're paying both of those. Both. So if I made $10,000 in a year, First, I pay 15% self-employment tax, so $1,500. Then I pay whatever our tax rate is on that $10,000. Say it's only 28%, I pay 28% income tax on that money. So if that $10,000 I made, I paid $4,300 in taxes. Now, what have I learned since then? Well, you can elect to have your LLC pay tax separately, and you can pay yourself on a W-2. What's great about that? Well, you become a W-2'd employee again. So your personal income tax is your personal, and your business files its own tax separately. That's great. What is the real key here is you can pay yourself a modest salary, $20,000, $30,000, whatever the number is your accountant tells you is modest, on a W-2. And you'll pay your 15%, or I'm sorry, you'll pay your 7.5%. Your company pays the 7.5%, and they withhold your federal income tax. But then your LLC can pay you a dividend check or bonus that you will get as a dividend earning from your business that is not subject to the 15% self-employment tax. So what that means is I have an IRS balance that I'm paying on because I didn't learn. Now what I really need to do is try to knuckle down and just get done with these guys. But if I had learned anything, School of Hard Knocks, it was I should have sheltered more money from the IRS and set myself up in a different situation. So number one tip right there, be cognizant of your tax surroundings. I will be making a video shortly that will talk about some of my favorite perks of being self-employed and owning a used car lot. I appreciate y'all watching. Take a minute, like, subscribe, or comment down below. Tell me where you found me. I really want to know where my leads are coming from. Are these repeat buyers? Or are these repeat viewers? Did I come up on a Google search that you did? Did YouTube suggest me? Whatever it is, take a second, let me know, guys, and keep an eye out for that video soon about the best benefits I have as being a used car dealer. Thanks for watching, y'all. Take care.